mechanics on the team who listened to the Daytona one, and they're like, so are you going to do a podcast about how bad Sebring was for us? And I said, no, well, maybe. So here we are. They said, all right, now don't go back to your motorhome and drink a 6-pack of beer. Stay alert, because if one of these guys gets sick or hurt or something in their eye or who knows, you're getting back in this thing.
If it was like the very first race that you'd ever done and that I'd ever done, you might have gone, oh, is this what racing's going to be like? I'm out of here. Hello and welcome to It's Not the Car, a podcast about not cars, I guess, about people and the stories behind them. But I always look at our title and I go, wait a minute, we wouldn't have the people in motorsport doing the things that we're doing if there were no cars. So, Jeff, are you sure that this is It's Not the Car?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. We talk an awful lot about cars, but you're right that you could say the opposite though too. We wouldn't have, what did you say? We wouldn't have the people if there weren't for the cars, but we wouldn't have the cars if it weren't for the people. So okay, well, whatever. It's not the car. Welcome. It's about racing.
and it's about everything to do with motorsport and the people and cars too. So
right.
And about races. So I think we're going to talk about a race here because Jeff, you and your team that you work with, AWA, the Corvette team, brilliantly won the Daytona 24, which was way cool. We talked about it on this show in another episode.
Yeah. And
then we went off to Sebring, and once again, you guys like just totally dominated and killed it, right? Right?
We
right?
Totally something, but the dominated and killed it wasn't exactly it. One of my mechanics on the team who listened to the Daytona one, and they're like, so are you going to do a podcast about how bad Sebring was for us? And I said, no, well, maybe. So here we are.
Yeah. And I'll tell some my perspective and
because you totally dominated and won Sebring going away, right? Too, also in the LMP2 with Stephen Thomas.
Yes, almost.
Awesome.
almost. Did
I give you the big trophy for almost?
I think there was a trophy involved.
Get a smaller one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is a podcast about losing.
Yeah.
this time.
But if there's a theme here, and we'll sort of come all the way back to this thing, I think there's a theme is you can do a lot of things right and still not win.
Man, we talked about that after Daytona. There were 1,000 opportunities where one small thing could have gone the other way, and we wouldn't have won Daytona. Sebring, in a nutshell for us, was 999 things went just right, and one didn't. And we ended up 10th.
Yeah.
So that's the amazing thing about racing is we didn't get suddenly worse. Our mechanics didn't forget how to do pit stops. Our drivers didn't forget how to drive. The strategy guys, me and the guys on the box, didn't, forget when we're supposed to make a pit stop. We did everything just like we did at Daytona, probably better. We had talked about, as you always do, there's always more. So we won Daytona, and I was talking to the guys, and I said, hey, there's always more. Let's everybody try to be 1% better at Sebring than we were at Daytona. And I think we were. And we still lost.
So maybe you just got greedy.
Yeah, we're greedy.
And karma came along and said, you're pushing it. You're pushing it here.
I don't know. I don't know. We can talk about the details, but it's the thing that's amazing. Everybody always likes to talk about, you won, you did this, you did that, you did that. This is going to be an opportunity to talk about you lost and why did you lose?
Yeah.
And what are the fine lines? I mean, you guys, I looked at the results of your car. I mean, your car was super fast laps, fast bronze guys, fast everything, and you didn't win.
Yeah.
It's weird. You have to ask yourself, problem for me is I'm running the race looking at GTD, and those LMP2 cars, your class, is just kind of like they're in the way and get out of the way. And I don't really look at them because at that time for those 12 hours, I don't care. The minute it's over, I'm like, I wonder how Ross did.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I go, and the stats come out and I go, well, he didn't win. How can that be?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny because there was also some, we probably paid a little bit of attention to GTP because Colin.
Right.
But they were great until they weren't too.
I same kind of thing, I guess, right? I mean, his car was fast. They looked really good in long runs. I could tell during it that they were saving lots of fuel.
Yeah.
Double stinting tires. I think he led most of a stint, at least half of a stint, when they were on new tires and he was on his second set. And I was like, ooh, that car's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't win.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get into the, having listeners here like get totally depressed because we're just going to be telling stories of loss there, we've screwed up there. Yeah. Sam always, and Sam, we miss you. You'll be back next one. But Sam always like, hey guys, you got to introduce yourself. And I'm like, oh yeah. Hi, Jeff. My name is Ross Bentley. I used to drive race cars. I coach drivers now. That's what I do. Okay. Yeah.
Good. I seems like I've met you before.
Seems like it.
Yeah. So, but if not, I'm Jeff Brown, and I have race engineered cars for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Time or two. And now I help out AWA on the scoring stand, doing strategy and calling the race, and that's kind of what I do. So that's me. Okay.
Well, and I guess, if you're listening, then that what Jeff was doing at Sebring was the AWA Corvette. I coach a bronze driver, a gentleman driver, Stephen Thomas, who drives for the TDS, the LMP2 car, and run by the TDS race team out of France, and with co-drivers Hunter McElroy and Mikkel Jensen. And Daytona had been really, really good until it wasn't. Ended up changing a gearbox in the race, and they came back and got some points. Went into Sebring. Steven did his usual unbelievable prep and came out swinging, and we went there, and he was strong in practice. And then it came down to qualifying. And cool thing about LMP2 is the bronze drivers qualify.
Yeah, I love that. I always have. And it's a little unfortunate in GTD, I think, that they don't require a bronze driver. They require minimum of a silver. So we have bronze drivers racing against silver drivers. And those silvers, as you know, Ross, the silver rated drivers are usually young kids who haven't quite proven themselves yet. So they're super fast kids. Not like a true bronze driver like Steven, who has a real job and, made his money first and then went racing. My guy, Ori Fidani, same kind of way. He's a true gentleman driver. They're not pros. And they have the Aiken Award. We've talked about that. And the Aiken Award in GTD is for the bronze drivers. So there's some recognition. But it's cool that in LMP2, you're qualifying against, because it means something.
Yeah.
Because Steven is qualifying against his peers. And some of those guys, George Kurtz and Ben Keating, and there's others I know, are no slouches. These are world-class, Steven with them, they're world-class bronze-rated drivers.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this before, but the level of competition, the level of performance that all of the bronze drivers in LMP2 are putting in now, there used to be a pretty big spread. And they've all got really, really good. And it's, it was, well, I think what Stephen got got pole, which his very first pole that he ever got in pro racing was at Sebring 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Or was that 3 years ago? Can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago. Stephen likes Sebring. He's really good there. And, but mostly, he's the way he's been preparing, is like another level. And yeah, he went there ready to have that car dancing on the limit.
Wow.
And he did. But pole was like, he got the pole by maybe a 10th, maybe even less than a 10th over PJ Hyatt, who's been really, really fast.
Yeah, PJ is good.
And yeah, I mean, all those other guys that are, pretty good. So, for us, that was like a, in a 12-hour race, a pole, it doesn't really matter in a way, but it proves that you are fast and you don't have to. Sometimes there's a little bit of, to me anyways, it seems like when you've got pole, you're fast, so you don't have to go into the race thinking, man, I gotta drive this thing on the ragged edge. I'm going to drive smart and fast, but I don't have to force it.
And I think in P2s, primarily, it really means something in that class.
Yeah.
If anybody's watches those races, qualifying is a meaningful thing in P2 because those are all equally rated drivers. There, as what John Bennett at Core used to say, I want to know how I'm doing against my peers. Well, if you're an LMP2, qualifying is against your peers on equal footing. Yeah, it's not like, I got held up because there's only like 8 of them out there running or whatever. So you're going to get a clear lap. That's your talent and ability on display against your peers.
And there were 12 P2 cars.
Okay, 12.
12. And unlike every other class, everybody's in the exact same chassis, the exact same tire, the exact same engine.
Yep.
Sure. Only because you're here, I'm going to say, yes, engineering makes a difference. And Jacques is brilliant. And obviously gave Stephen a really, really good car. But it's not like there is no BOP. It's not like, this track, right, this car's got a little advantage of. No, the cars are basically they're all the same.
Yep.
Other than how you tune them.
Right.
And then it's just drive the wheels off the thing.
That's cool. That's I will say, I know you and Stephen work hard on that. And Stephen, it would never work if you advised him and told him what to do and he didn't listen. I know he puts in the effort and you keep pushing him and you're, I wasn't there, but I know when he got out and he got pole and after you congratulated him and stuff and all of that, you said, okay, there's always more.
Yes. Oh yeah.
and that's you. So
yeah,
that's why he's had these poles and that's why he's doing as good as he can. Yeah. Qualifying's cool for us. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and not to give too much away here because, you and I are talking about some things that there are limits to what we can and will share, but, we'll try to go a little beyond, just a little bit more. There's always more to share. But one of the things was, Stephen went into qualifying at Sebring going 9.5 tenths, nowhere near good enough. 9.9 tenths, not good enough.
Right.
It has to be 10 tenths. And obviously, if you go beyond 10 tenths, you're going to go, at best, you're going to go slower.
Right.
Because you're going to mess up something.
Yeah.
He drove 10 tenths. And, especially at a track like Sebring, putting the lap together is the key. Yep. You can put, you can be fast in this segment or fast in that segment or fast in that corner and fast in that corner, or not fast in that one, but good in this one. At Sebring, you need to put a whole lap together. And I'm going to say Sebring ranks up there with one of the toughest tracks to put all the pieces together.
Hi, it's Sam. This, right now, is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. I'll make it quick, I promise. So we have this thing called Patreon. You go there, and for a few bucks a month, you can help support this show. You also get neat perks like bonus episodes, access to quarterly live Q&As with the hosts, merch discounts, and some free Speed Secrets training from Ross. Now, we don't make a profit off this show. We do it because we love it. And what that really means is that every penny we raise through Patreon goes toward keeping It's Not the Car on the air and free of ads. This sort of thing sounds good? You can join at patreon.com/notthecar. Thanks for listening. Back to the show.
I think I would agree with that. It's because it has so much, there's some smooth corners. There's some really bumpy corners. There's some slow corners. There's some really fast smooth corners and some really fast bumpy corners. It has everything within 3.7 miles.
Yeah.
You better be good in all of it.
Yeah.
Not only from a driving standpoint, but from an engineering standpoint. It's a huge compromise.
Yeah. And
so that's cool.
And yeah, I mean, it's, I would say better than some tracks. It has fast corners. Yeah. It has medium speed corners, and it has slow corners. Like,
yep.
You can go to certain tracks and it's like, okay, well, you got some fast corners, you got some slow corners, not much in the way of medium speed.
Right.
Or, all slow corners. Sebring plus, the bumps. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, it was, I'm coaching remotely, and so I'm watching the telemetry, and I'm going, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's good. That's a good corner. Yeah. Oh, that's another good corner. That's another good corner. Oh, keep putting them together here.
Right.
And you're just watching them, like, putting it all together, and it's like, oh man, that was brilliant lap.
Yeah.
And then you backed it up with
17 of them together. 17 corners together. It's not easy.
And I will say, one of the things that I've seen a lot of, elite level pro drivers even do is at Sebring, when I joked about being greedy, as a driver, you can be greedy, and good and bad, every car has got the predictive lap time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I got a good one going. I got a good one going. I got a good one going. You come out of 16, you're going down that back straight, and you're like, oh yes, I'm going to finish it off with a killer 17.
Right.
And then you wash a little wide and you hit that bump the wrong way, and you come out of there and you go,
give it all away.
Give it all away. Like, it's almost like you've got to get down that back straight and head into 17 going, okay, just chill.
Yep.
Finish it off. Don't get greedy here. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a good qualifying for you guys. Our qualifying.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's like spectacular.
Yeah.
And our we'll do pre-race for us. Our qualifying was we qualified to Ori, and like we talked earlier, it's not really for us. It's a different goal in qualifying because we're going up against the silvers. There were 24 GTDs, I think, and there were only 7 bronzes. So we're not going to qualify.
Yeah.
We're not going to get the pole or anything like that. And we're really not, we're not disappointed if that happens. What we want to do, we actually use that 15 minutes because it's just GTD now, so there's 22 cars on track. We use that for a chance for Ori to get brand new tires, light tanks, and push it, like you said, at 10/10. Because he doesn't have to worry about prototypes passing him, or he doesn't have to worry about other GT cars around him. We get him a gap, and he gets 15 minutes just to practice going as quick as he can, feeling what the grip of the tire is and all of that. So we banked that qualifying. I think we ended up 13th or 14th qualifying, I think, which is about where we expected.
Sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah. No, it was a good run for Ori. He did his best lap of the weekend, even though he had done a simulated qualifying the session or 2 sessions before. So he bettered that. So improvements. Did a really good job, and we were in a good spot to start the race. With the mindset for us going into the race, we kind of do it in steps, just like we did at Daytona. Step number 1, we have to get the minimum drive time for our bronze driver out of the way. I'm pretty sure you guys approach it the same way.
Not so. We also go for the 4-hour and 8-hour points.
Oh, right.
So Steven's, I'll let you get back to it, but Steven did double stint. Then Hunter and Mickle did a stint that then took us to 4 hours. So we won the 4 hour thing.
For the Michelin Endurance Cup, yeah.
Yeah, then Steven gets back in, does another double, and then worked way through. And I think we got 8 hours too, I think. I can't remember.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our mindset is the season-long goal is to try to win that Aiken Award again, being the best bronze driver. Second goal would be to do well in that Michelin Endurance thing. But if it ever comes down to making a strategic move that would help or hurt one of those or the other, we always lean toward the Aiken Award.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get our drive time out of the way. Sebring was 3 hours.
Yeah.
A GTD car can do right at an hour on a tank of gas.
Mm.
So in the past, many of the bronze teams have run their bronze guy for 3 straight hours. It's pretty hot this year. We had
Sebring's a tough track on the body.
Sebring's tough. We had some problems with our air conditioning in the testing. We couldn't get it to work at all. And if the air conditioning, people are like, oh, air conditioning in a race car, and there must be wimps. Matt Bell, who's a top pro, said that if the air conditioning quits in that car, I'm good for 30 minutes tops, half a stint.
Yeah.
And I will be totally wiped out.
Yeah.
So it's that critical because we have no cool suits. We have no anything else. I mean, you have to have the air conditioning. It's even, I think in WEC, it's still mandated, and they check the temperature in the car.
Is it in IMSA? I can't remember now.
It's not in GTD.
Because in WEC, there was like a maximum cockpit temperature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you would get, penalized if your cockpit temperature went too high. So, yeah.
So all GT3s have air conditioning, and so we use that. It's actually better to carry that air conditioning than it is to carry cool suits and have to put ice and or the electric cool suits, and now with the torque sensors, we used to turn the air conditioning off before we had torque sensors because it was worth about 5 horsepower. So you'd get behind a guy and then you'd click the air conditioning off and go like heck to try to pass him. Once you got by him, you'd click the air conditioning back on. Now with the torque sensors, it's limiting the maximum torque that we can put to the axles. The engine can put out way more. So you can run the air conditioning for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's great. So everybody runs their air conditioning the whole time. So anyway, that's a long way of saying we didn't really want Ori to try to do 3 hours. And I'd have to go back and look. I don't know. I think maybe one bronze in GTD did 3 hours straight. Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess we can delve into the start of the race. We started the race and did 2 stints with Ori. Did a great job. Don't even think we got a lap down. Yeah. Which normally you do because you have these fast silver guys who started, who are pros.
Yeah.
Let's face it, they're pros. So you have Ori and all the bronzes against the pros. And a lot of times you can get a lap down in a stint in 1 hour. That's pretty common. But I think at 2 hours, that was it. A yellow came out. Yellow came out right before 2 hours. The problem was, this was a great call. The problem was we knew we could only go an hour. So if we pulled them out with an hour and 10 minutes to go, which is essentially when the yellow happened, we could put him back in later, but he would have an hour and 10 minutes to go, and you can't do that in a stint.
Yeah.
So you'd have to pit 10 minutes early, put him in, and then possibly run him for a whole nother hour against their pros.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that. So we were like, oh man, what do we do? How do we extend this? And Andrew, our team owner, who's very good engineer, strategist, he can do everything. He's like, why don't we just pit at the end of this yellow? Instead of pit when it's open for GT, which is essentially the second lap, they always do a third and sometimes a fourth, even a fifth lap. And Andrew's like, let's just pit at the end. And you wouldn't normally do that because you lose track position. We were running 15th. We would have come out 22nd because everybody would have pitted. We would have pitted after them. But we were still on the lead lap. There was still 10 hours to go. And it was a brilliant call by Andrew. So we burned another 4 minutes or so by staying out those extra 2 laps. So Ori only had like an hour and 2 minutes to go when we got him out. And we thought with some fuel save,
Yeah.
we could probably get that hour and 2
Or one yellow.
or one yellow.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We put Lars in for a stint, basically just to give Ori a break for an hour before we put him back in. So you guys did Steven for 2.
Yeah. So Steven, you know, a P2 car does about 45 minutes on a tank of fuel, right?
All right.
Yep. Can't remember the exact Sebring, but it's about that. And Steven just from pole stretched the lead every lap.
Nice.
His sector 2, which, you know, is basically turn 3 to 15.
Yeah, the whole track.
Yeah. You know, other than 16 and 17. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He was like half a second a lap, a second every single lap quicker.
Jeez.
And wasn't having to try super hard to do it. Like he was just, and, you know, one of the things going into it, we talked a lot about smart passes, great in traffic, you know, and his whole thing is his ultimate goal is he wants to be the fastest in the lead and hand the car to the pros with not a mark on it. And that's exactly what he did.
Wow.
I say it was one of his best races.
Nice.
He did everything. So yeah, 2
Mission
stints.
accomplished.
2 stints. So about an hour and a half. I can't remember if we had a yellow in there. I don't think we went a long time at the beginning of the race without yellows, right? And there was, it was like the TV coverage I was also watching was, you know, a lot of the marbles on the track and stuff like that.
Yep.
Usually they get cleaned up under yellow. And so it was, he just drove perfectly, came in, handed the car off to Hunter. Yep. Hunter ran strong. Mikkel got in, and I think that worked out so that, you know, so Hunter probably got it to 3 hours with 2 stints, double stints, and then Mikkel got in and got to over 4 hours.
And you led it 4 hours for the Michelin
4 hours
points. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, you know, same kind of thing as you guys, like, you know, given a choice, we want to win the race.
Sure.
But if you can win the race and take those points for 4 hours and 8 hours, why not, right?
Why not? Exactly.
And especially when you've got a bronze that is that good. I mean,
right.
There were times when Steven got back in after the 4 hours where he was out there with more than half the P2 field at that point were pros in the car. And he was running with them. Like, he was running lap times that were pretty darn competitive with the pros. So,
and see, that's a strategic thing based on every team and the performance of their bronze. A lot of people say, why is it important to have a fast bronze? Well, what it did for you guys was give you the opportunity to win, to go for that 4 hour thing, because you knew there was going to be a time that you had to pay the piper for that. And there was going to be Steven against the pros, which you generally don't want. But if the gap is survivable, you don't go a lap down, and that happens early, like in hour 5, put Steven in, and he loses 15 seconds. Yeah. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
So you have, that's another very important reason why a fast bronze helps your team, because it opens up strategic options that you might not have if your guy was too slow.
And there was a point in there when, you know, I'm looking at time and scoring going, we have a 38-second lead over the field. This is looking really strong.
I'd be on the intercom going, let's save some fuel here, boys.
Oh, we weren't using a lot of fuel either.
And
to just put it that way. Yeah. So like it was.
You're licking your chops on this one. You got this one. This is going to be good.
Yeah. And the one thing that did happen to us was the similar kind of thing that you talked about is when Steven got back in, he did, I guess he did I think it was a single, but there was extended because of yellows.
Mm-hmm.
And then another yellow came, and I can't remember. You sit down after the race and you go, what happened again?
What happened? Right. I'm the same
There's
way.
just so many different, and all I know is that so there was another yellow, and it was like, this is the right time to pit and change drivers.
Right.
Steven got out and basically had 4 minutes to get to his 3 hour point. So at one point he needed to get back in the car for 4 minutes. So basically what he did was he sat in pit lane with his helmet ready and on at times, just waiting for a yellow. And if a yellow came out, like pit now, put him in, get him out, come back in, pit again. He's done his 3 hours. So
that's interesting because Lars did his stint. We put Ori back in for this 1 hour and 2 minute one. And we're like, okay, a yellow gets us there easy. But the problem is, if you get a yellow, let's say halfway through, you're not done.
Yeah.
You got to put gas in. Now he has to go another hour, which is a half an hour further than he needs to. And that'll be against the silvers or the pros. So in this instance, it happened to go green the whole time. We didn't know that was going to happen, but we started him out saving fuel right away. Baptiste does his magic on his numbers and says to go 1 hour and 2 minutes, we need to get this fuel mileage. And so we told him, Ori, we need this fuel mileage. Thing is, unfairly, probably, we don't often practice a lot of fuel saving with Ori because that usually happens later in the race and your pros are trying to do it to get to a window and stuff like that. And we practice a little bit, but we haven't given him, we'll change this from now on, but we haven't given him enough practice with fuel saving. So, but he did a really good job. But we know with some practice, he could do that same fuel saving with a little better lap time. But we had to get him this 1 hour and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So he's hitting Baptiste's number really nicely. And it's going to be one of those deals where you have enough fuel. We had enough fuel to make, I can't remember the number. Let's say it was 35 laps that we needed to make. We had enough fuel to make 34 and a half laps or 34.8 laps. That 0.8 doesn't do any good because you run out of gas in turn 16.
Yeah.
You need that whole lap. And we weren't quite there. And the problem was, if we didn't do that extra lap, we wouldn't get the drive time that we needed for Ori. So we were playing the fuel game versus the drive time right down to like within seconds. It turns out we crossed the line and Baptiste is like, we cannot make it on gas around one more time. We can make it to the pits, but we have to stop this lap. So I did the quick math and I'm like, we're like 25 seconds too soon.
I was going to say,
get there 25 seconds too early. So I told Ori on the radio right away, slow down. And we hadn't pre-planned this. So Ori just had a blind faith. He's like, I said, this lap has to be 25 seconds slower than your last lap. I said 5 seconds slower for drive time.
And that's not easy.
That's not easy. And so he starts slowing down and we're looking at we're giving him updates. Okay, we still got to burn 15 seconds. He got on the back straightaway and we're like, you got to burn, the back straightaway takes 4 seconds to get down. You got to do it in 15 seconds. So I said, pull to the right, drive like you have a flat tire and just go as slow as you can. Because if we would have gone by, we would have run out of gas.
Yeah.
And if we would have pitted normally, he would have been 20 seconds short of drive time. So he went really slow, made it around. We crossed. As it turned out, I could have done a better job excuse me, I could have done a better job, should have done a better job. We crossed with like 14 seconds to spare. So I slowed him down too much. I'll fix that. That's not acceptable. It should have been like 2 or 3 seconds, not 14.
And what you're really saying here is that you guys did not win the race by 14 seconds, right? You finished second, just 14 seconds off.
Yeah, I would have been, I wouldn't be on this podcast. I would have been, had committed suicide if that's what actually happened. As it turned out, it had no effect on the end result. So I was happy about that. But anyway, we got Oria's drive time, 14 seconds to the good. Checkbox out. Still think we lost a lap doing that because he had to save fuel and we slowed down. We lost a lap. Not Ori's fault, just the circumstances, the way that fuel worked out and not giving him a good enough time to save and small, those 1,000 little things again. There's 2 of them that added up, cost us a lap. But we had 8 hours to go still, and we were a lap down. We liked our chances at that point. So that's a quarter of the race. You're a quarter of the race. What was your next 4 hours or so look like?
Well, I have to say that there was a little bit of, for me personally, because my focus is on Steven.
Of course.
Like once Hunter and Mikkel are in the car, Steven and I will either have a quick call or text message back and forth and some debriefing kind of stuff on, if he was to get back in the car, what he would do differently in this case. I think my text message is something like, brilliant, keep doing that.
Keep doing that, right?
Yeah. Because whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Yeah.
I'm sure you must be like us when Ori's done. Same when Steven's done with his drive time. I say to Ori, now don't go back to your motorhome and drink a 6-pack of beer. Stay alert, because if one of these guys gets sick or hurt or something in their eye or who knows, you're getting back in this thing. Yeah.
Yep. Same thing. And, and then, like I said, it seemed like for 3 hours, we were sitting there waiting for Steven to get back in the car under yellow and get his last 4 minutes.
Oh, right. Still needs that 4 minutes.
So he was, doing that. But there's a certain point when Steven's done where, for me personally, as a coach, I'm kind of like, now I'm a cheerleader.
Right.
I'm just, come on, team.
Right.
And
interested observer.
Yeah. Yes. And
what you're really saying is, I hope the other guys don't mess up all the good work Steven's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah.
Right.
And I will say that when he finished his stints, I went, you have won the race, Steven. Like, whatever happens now, you did whatever it took to win the race. Yep. A meteor could fall out of the sky, crush the car, and we don't win. Still, you did what it took to win.
Exactly.
And it wasn't a meteor that hit us, but there was a little contact with some other car that wasn't a meteor.
But it did come out of no place.
It did come out. Yes. Yeah.
As they usually
fell
do.
out of the sky. Yeah. And so it cost us a little bit of time there. And I can't even remember at what point. That was somewhere in that 4 to 8 hour range, somewhere in that range. I can't remember exactly where it was even. But I will say the TDS guys are, it's interesting because they came from racing in WEC and European Le Mans Series and all that kind of stuff. And when they first came to IMSA, their thought was, oh, this is the best racing in the world. This is the greatest stuff. And I've heard that. I mean, you probably same thing. I mean, there are American teams that go and run Europe and World Endurance Championship and everything and go, oh, that's the greatest stuff. Right. And there are, Europeans that come over here and go, oh, this is the best stuff. But what they love about IMSA racing is, say what you will about the yellows and getting laps back and all that kind of stuff, but it keeps a team, you can have a little small problem. You can fight your way back. Whereas in WEC or World Endurance or ELMS, you have a little problem, you're done.
They're toast. Just like I said, in my race rundown, we just got Ori his time, and we're a lap down, and there was not one long face. We're like, we got this.
Yeah.
We're like, no problem. We will get our lap back in the next 8 hours.
Yeah.
And, if you're in a WEC race, you're like, oh, well, we're done.
Yeah.
Don't stand a chance.
Circulate around and finish a lap down. So,
right.
Yeah. So when Xavier and Jacques, they first came over and everything, and we first started working with them, it was really fun to see them embrace the strategy side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say they've become really, really, really good. Not that they were bad, but there were, in the beginning, there was a little bit of, just figuring things out. And and
it's complicated with pass arounds, final wave buys, class splits, category splits. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And they just did a great job. I haven't seen this or anything, but I was told that we won, the TDS team won the Pit Strategy Award or whatever it was at Sebring. I don't know. I think that comes with a multi-million-dollar prize fund, or not.
Or not. But I think it is something to do with you have to finish maybe on the podium and have spent the least amount of time in the pit.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's something like that. So that's pretty cool. That's cool.
So Steven turned the fastest bronze race lap.
Nice.
The team won this strategy award. Hunter turned the fastest lap time of silvers.
Nice.
Mikkel turned the fastest overall race lap for a P2 car, so faster than any other gold platinum drivers.
Well, that sounds like the big trophy should have been handed to you, and then you won everything except that final little.
But there was that little thing that.
The meteorite.
The meteorite, yes, that caused a little issue, and I think a drive-through. And the worst part was, we're still in it. The car was obviously really good. Mikkel, I don't know if there's anybody faster than Mikkel in a P2 car in the world. Like, the guy is, and I call him, I kind of go, we need some Mikkel magic here, and he can make passes like nobody's. Like, he's just really, really good.
He's good.
So even though, like, he was getting in the car and there's, an hour and a bit to go and we're in 9th place, it's like, okay, there's 8th, there's 7th, there's 6th, there's 5th, there's 4th. And a restart, you got around DeResta and somebody else. Now we're in 3rd. But the nose needed to be replaced because the headlight got damaged and a diplane, I think, as well. So they had to replace
against the meteorite.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah,
right.
And the nose needed to be replaced, and even though you try to set up your spares to be exactly the same, they're never quite the same, right? And it just, like, the car, we lost, I don't know, a couple of tenths.
Yep.
And when it got down to that last little bit, he couldn't catch the 1 and 2. So
he ended up 3rd.
Finished 3rd, which a lot of times you go, hey, we got a podium, yay!
Yeah.
But when you're the fastest bronze, the fastest silver, the fastest overall, best strategy, and you finish 3rd, I'm sorry, but
disappointing.
You can't help but be a little disappointing. Now, I do flip that around and go, Steven's job was to do his job.
Right.
My little job was to help him in whatever way I can to do that.
Yeah.
And he absolutely nailed it. It was just an absolute brilliant performance all weekend long. Everything in and out of the car.
Yep.
And you go, okay, well, there's that. But there was no trophy for that. Other than the 3rd place trophy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, maybe my story will cheer you up.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because I want to see you guys on the podium, at the top of the podium, spraying the champagne again.
Yeah. No.
Ah.
Ori got his drive time done. Check mark. 1 lap down. stuck Matt in for a double. Matt goes out, and this is our first chance with the pro in the car to feel the car. Like, how is it today? How is the track? How is the setup? How is the tire deg?
And Jeff, how much did you guys work on setting the car up for night versus just overall, let's make the car fast?
Night was 90% of our focus. The last 2.5 hours. We know we had to be good there. You win. Same with LMP2. Same with any IMSA race class now. You win these races by being fast at the end. We won Daytona. We were 8th with 45 minutes to go, and we won the race. Yeah. We won the race because Matt and the car setup that Charlie came up with, Charlie and Baptiste, and the drivers, was faster than everybody else. That's why we won. So if you don't have that, you're not gonna win. So we have kind of the thing. I don't do much, but one of the thing I do have is a lot of history at Sebring, so I can help the guys with what to expect from how the car handles in the day to how it'll handle at night, how that progression will go. So we used the practices during the day in the heat of the day, as weird as it seems, to actually set the car up to be good at night. Because I knew the car should, and I'm not going to give this away, but we knew what the car should handle like in the day, and we got it to handle like that so that at night it would be great.
Can you share like how big a difference in lap time that is? Like, is that 1/10 of a second? Is that half a second?
Man, Sebring is a huge change. Probably one of the biggest day to night change tracks that we go to. Bigger than, it is. Bigger than Petite, bigger than Daytona. It's big. For us, 1.5 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a bigger, heavier car prototype with a lot of downforce and maybe a little easier on the tires, maybe not as much.
Yeah.
But 1.5 seconds between peak of the day, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and night when it was 65 or whatever it was, 60. Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. So Matt went out.
Yep.
Felt the car. Everything seemed pretty good. Matt's like, yeah, the car seems pretty good. We did some fuel saving because we were just waiting to try to get our lap back. That's all we were trying to do. Save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. If you do, you can then have options to stay out when the others have to pit so that we can get our lap back, and lots of things going on. So we're saving fuel. Because in, again, any IMSA class, if you have the fastest car, you're not just going to pass the leader, drive 3.7 miles around, and catch them and unlap yourself on performance. Impossible.
Well, if I was driving the car, I'd say, come on, engineer, make the car faster.
Right, make it, exactly. It wasn't going to go any faster.
Yeah.
We thought we had a really good car. Matt got out after his double and said, yeah, car's good. And it was especially good deep into a run on tire deg. So that's the one thing that IMSA is difficult to balance performance, is you can balance lap times and straight line speed and cornering speed, but how easy is the car on tires? And that's a setup choice too. Charlie and Baptiste and the drivers work on how to make the car good on tires late in a run, because we're probably going to be pretty equal early in a run. But if our tires don't wear out as fast as the others, we'll be better those last 10 laps. Matt thought he was pretty good in that situation. Put Lars in for a double. Lars said the same thing. He goes, man, this car is really good late in a run. Normal performance, BOP stuff, yeah, they're all the same, all the GT cars. With the torque axles now, there's not much between them. But late in a run, we were pretty good. Lars, save fuel. Finally, yellow comes out. We get our lap back. Now we're on the lead lap. Put Matt in with right at 3 hours to go, and Matt was going to finish off the race. We get going. I think we're lead lap. We're like 5th or 6th with a car that we know is super good late in a run. We're all hoping for green flag runs. We don't want yellows to come out where everybody can put new tires on. we want the last stint of this race to be one straight hour of green. Everybody puts new tires on with an hour to go, and we run to the end because, man, we were strong late in the run. Restart happens with like 2 hours to go. We're right there in the top 5. Going into turn 1, there's a silver driver, kind of new. Anyway, he's trying to block Matt, and for some reason puts on the brakes way early in turn 1, maybe because he wasn't as experienced and didn't know how much grip he had on cold tires. Anyway, Matt's on him like you do, and the guy puts on the brakes like 10 car lengths too early, and Matt hits him. Crushes the right front fender in, and the guy came by at the end of the race and apologized. Man, I really screwed up. That was terrible. I'm sorry. Da, 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 da. Which was nice of him to say he screwed up, but it crushed our fender in. Matt keeps going and doesn't have the downforce because the splitter's crushed in. The fender is like flopping off the thing. The headlight's out. After about 5 laps, IMSA says, you got to pit. You can't. The big whole fender was about to fall off the car. So we came in the pits. The guys have this, I know you didn't know, but we call it bear bond. Yeah. It's like big sheets, like 2 foot by 1.5 feet or 3 foot by 2 foot, big sheets of this sticky rubberized tape. And we tried to put the fender back in place, and the guys bear bonded it back on in 3 or 4 spots, sent Matt back out. Car was not bad. We were still on the lead lap, amazingly enough.
Wow.
Yellow came out. We're back in the pack again, like 8th or 9th. Not bad. Car was understeery. Front tires weren't lasting as good as they should have because we lost all the downforce. The whole front was caved in. At one point, a prototype comes by Matt, and Matt's not sure if he touched us on the broken fender that was taped on or just the air pressure, but it sucked the fender off up away again. And the fender started flopping around again. And Matt had a pit because it had flopped around back up, and he couldn't see basically the whole right-hand side of the car. I mean, he couldn't see out. It was like the windshield was blocked by the fender.
Good thing there aren't any right-hand corners at Sebring.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. So he comes diving in the pits. The guys do their thing again, back out. We're on the lead lap, still on the lead lap. And then an LMP2 car, actually the leading LMP2 car, comes up on Matt going into turn 17 and just rams us. I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, obviously, but he got it wrong, got the brake thing wrong or whatever. Matt was going like a normal GT car. You know, it wasn't like he was off the pace by maybe 0.2 off a GT car. So it wasn't like he was weaving or anything. And the LMP2 car driver just got it wrong and just rammed us, spun us out. They gave the LMP2 driver a drive-through penalty, and it ultimately cost them the race win.
Yeah.
And didn't help us because we were spun out waiting for cars to go by in 17. Matt got it back going. Now we're a lap down. Race ends, we're 10th with a really good car.
Yeah.
And Matt gets out of the car and he's all like, oh man, I'm sorry guys. And we're like, we have nothing to blame you about, you know?
Right.
I mean, there was nothing you could do. And it's just one of those things where we think there were things we could have done better, for sure. I could have done that pit thing better. We could have done what you did. We could have got Ori out, not worried about it, got Ori out with 2 minutes to go, stuck him in under yellow like you guys did with Steven to get the drive time. That was an option that we didn't really consider at the time, which we should have. So there were things for sure that we could have done better. But man, we've kind of felt like you, like, we should have. That wasn't like, well, that just happens and we were the 10th best car. We were like the first or second best car and we got 10th. And that's like, frustrating.
Yeah. Well, just so you know that when that P2 car hit you guys, that did take us from 4th to 3rd. So, there is some good that come out of it.
You're welcome. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So anyway, I guess it goes to show, like we started out this whole thing. we just talked about it, we could go back. There wasn't like either one of our teams did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Or like, oh boy, that was just terrible. There were some things that we all could have done slightly better, but it's a fine line between first and third or first and 10th.
And even, that very first yellow in the race, IMSA, like the leading GTP cars, IMSA didn't open the pits until the first 4 GTP cars passed, and then they opened it, and it kind of hurt them. Now, it was an hour into the race. It didn't really make any difference in the grand scheme of things, but those are the kind of things that just, I don't know, the racing gods sometimes just
right. And I guess there was, so for me that didn't really register, that first one, until I went back and watched the race, and I went, oh yeah. Ooh, that was a mistake on the IMSA's part of opening that up, because all I care about is the next lap when it opens for GT. So for me, open for prototype, great, all those fancy cars come in, and the next lap I'm going to come in.
Right. And there was another one late in the race when there was that tire sitting in the middle of the back straight. Yeah. And, our guys, Jacques and the guys, made a brilliant call to like, that's probably going to go yellow, come in now. Yeah. And we did it, and a couple other cars did it, and then some didn't, who should have gotten out of position. But somehow they opened the pits early or something. I don't know. There was, it's just every now and then things happen and you go, we should have gotten a lot of track position out of that.
Right.
And we didn't. And it's just like, sometimes you're just not meant to win, I guess.
Meant to go. Yeah, I guess. I remember that one. We were in we have to stay out to get our lap back mode. So we didn't want to dive in. We didn't want to be one of those guys. We wanted everybody else to come in, and we stay out to put us in the front of the queue to get the final wave around.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, if it was like the very first race that you'd ever done and that I'd ever done, you might have gone, oh, is this what racing's going to be like? I'm out of here.
Right, this is.
But we also, the best thing about racing, there's always another one.
Always another one. That is the best thing. Whether you win or lose. After Daytona, we're like, I can't wait for Sebring.
Yeah.
And after Sebring, it's like, we didn't do very good, so I can't wait for Long Beach.
At least you guys get to go. The P2 cars, we don't race again until Watkins Glen. We have 3 months between Sebring and Watkins Glen. That's a weird thing. It's like, it's almost longer than the off season.
And because in 23, P2s did Laguna.
Yep.
But they didn't last year for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is we won that race because of some Mickle magic. And Laguna is one of my favorite places, so I wish we were going back there. But we're not. So we've got this big, huge gap that we will be sitting around doing nothing for the next 3 months. Not testing, not on the sim work, not doing any mental training, not doing any physical training, none of that. Just sit basically and think about everything other than racing for 3 months.
Yeah, right. And I believe that absolutely not at all. Yeah. We go to Long Beach, and it's kind of a weird thing because it's GTP and GTD only, no pros.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different. Long Beach. I love Long Beach.
Long Beach is cool. Yeah.
It's an event.
Yeah.
And Laguna, 2 great places. It's too bad P2s don't go there.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it may be that IMSA's got that, too much success, too many cars. And, the one thing about the P2s is, and I get it, is you watch TV and the P2s definitely get less coverage than everybody else. And I get it because it's an Orica with a Gibson motor.
Right.
They're not paying IMSA any money for, and all the other manufacturers are all supporting it in some way. So
Yep.
All the manufacturer driven classes are going to get featured more. When all I know is the LMP2 class is the best racing period in IMSA. So everybody else can just go away.
Right.
There you go.
We should have a LMP2. I thought they should always add LMP2 to the VIR GTD race.
Yeah.
I mean, we do Mossport, right?
Yeah.
LMP2 is the headliner.
Yes,
So that's cool that
that's
LMP2
cool.
gets the headline.
And especially because it's Mossport.
Mossport,
Canadian Tire
yeah.
Motorsport Park. Yes, it's,
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool.
Well, that's the recap on Sebring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. So we have to do this, what does Sam call it? Read us out?
Read us. Who's doing this?
Well, I don't have any script.
Oh.
So we'll do it ad lib. Patreon. We got patreon.com. It's not the car.
It's
What is it?
executive producer is Sam Smith.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the show's creator. And he's like he's king of the show.
In Hollywood, they call that the showrunner.
Oh.
So TV shows, my son Travis is in that business, and the guy who runs the show makes everything happen. Usually he's the creator and he's the showrunner. So that's Sam.
I thought the runner was more like a gopher, like, hey, go grab me a drink.
No, I think this is the guy who runs the show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, that's Sam.
That's Sam.
Yeah. And
Mike Perlman.
Mike Perlman is our executive producer. He's sort of like the Mickle magic.
Right. All the stuff you can't figure out how the heck that works, but when you see it, you go, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then the Patreon thing, you can join the Patreon thing and get all sorts of
free episodes.
Free extra, bonus.
Extras,
the bonus episodes.
Yeah, we do those.
We did a bunch. I think we're going to record some more soon, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
And we've got some in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I think if you join, if you're not a joined guy now, you get all the back ones.
Yep. And we also have the merch store at itsnotthecar.com.
Yep.
That's it, right?
All sorts of goofy hats and shirts and coffee mugs that Sam invented.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool.
And if you like this show, please leave a review. Go and tell your friend. In fact, right now, when the show ends, walk out the front door and go to your neighbors on either side, knock on their door and say, hey, you need to listen to this podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just hit that like button. That's kind of the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Either one works.
Yeah. Okay. So now Sam knows exactly why he doesn't leave the reading out the show bit to us, because we just ramble on and
unsupervised again.
Yes.
I think you nailed it all. So I think
we got it.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
Good job. So we'll see you all on the next one.
Yep. Thanks everybody. And as always, keep learning, keep having fun.
Have fun.